Cool. So, Recession Watch. So, it's interesting. So, in this segment, what I'm doing is I'm just going to track the recession and just see how we're going with it and where we're going and what my thoughts are on it. And I think the thing that's on everyone's minds right now really is this second wave and what's happening with that. And, if you look at the data, you'll see that it's kind of, it's a little bit scary that it's come back up to where it was when we had the lockdown. I mean, it's 6 months since lockdown. So, the first lockdown in March, it's interesting because I remember March 14th, I actually flew back to Singapore. I just made it in before all the lockdowns and things like that. But, the interesting thing now is how bad this is going to be. I don't think it's going to be as bad as people may make it out. I think it could be tragic for a lot of businesses because they've survived the first bout and now they've got the second bout, and where, especially things like nightclubs and bars and pubs and all these sort of things, it might be the death knell for them, and we'll see. I've been saying for a long time, track the unemployment numbers. There's no new unemployment numbers out. There's no redundancy numbers out that have come out. They're not until, I think the start of October they come out in. And so we'll certainly track it on this show. I think, the key for me with this second wave and the impact of the second wave is really about what the government does, okay? How much they tighten it down. And I think part of it is how much the citizens and the people of the UK, actually adhere to this. I've seen in Singapore what has happened when you've got an orderly society that listens to the government, a government that makes sense, a government that explains why they're doing things, and sure has penalties and things like that for not doing it. But the reality is, by doing that, and by, we've been wearing masks when we're outside and that sort of stuff, unless we're out, physically exerting ourselves, jogging, running, riding, that sort of thing. And that really, I think, has had a positive benefit. So there's very low community spread, and there's good track and tracing, there's good testing. And I think the model is out there for success. And I think the UK, hopefully, they certainly didn't win, win the first round, but hopefully they can this time. And hopefully with the new medicines and the new treatments and all that sort of stuff, that'll work out. I'm optimistic. I don't think it's going to be as bad as it could be, okay? But I think it is going to need some stimulation from the government. And let's face it, that is why the government is there. And one of the things I've been saying for a while, and all landlords have been saying, is that they've been picky on landlords, with these not allowing evictions and all sorts of things. And I get why not, but then support the landlords, because there's a lot of tenants who aren't paying because they don't want to, because they feel they can get one up on the landlords, not because they are in any problems. Yeah. So I guess the real question is, we're in recession, and we've been in recession now, which means 2 quarters of negative economic growth. The likelihood is that we're going to stay in recession. For how long? I mean, let's see. Is this UK recession expected to continue until spring amid COVID surge? Okay. So I think the reality is, and I agree with this, I think we're going to be in recession through the winter months. We've got the double whammy. We've got the lockdown now, or, as we call it in Singapore, the circuit breaker, which is a polite way of saying pretty much lockdown. But the bottom line is, how much and how long that goes on for will determine how the recession plays out. But then you've also got the winter, which was going to happen anyway. So that on top is going to slow things down. So when you add both those, it's a double whammy. And that could see house prices and unemployment and all these sort of things, really start to take effect and take hold, which they haven't really done so far. And I keep saying the government supporting, and I think, if we look at the government supporting, this thing here is basically, Rissi weighs up German-style subsidies, which is basically that as if I employ somebody and I've got enough work for them to work 2 days, but I can't keep them for the full time, then the government will pay the 3 days, and and it'll be a subsidised of some form. It probably won't be full wage, similar to furlough scheme or flexible furlough they've got now, but they'll probably introduce a new scheme, I imagine. But it's an interesting thing, because what I've noticed, and speaking to a lot of people now, it's not actually a lot of people who are getting rid of people have got rid of them. They're not holding on to them for the end of furlough, and I think that's one of the key. And I think that's quite interesting. So we'll see where that is. I see Paul has just written in that the COVID 307 COVID deaths this year amongst under 60s. Even according to government figures, epidemic. Yeah, okay. Look, But the reality is that it could get, and I'm pretty sure there'd be more than 307. But anyway, I'm not sure. I'll have to check that data. But yeah, that's quite interesting. But look, I think the government stimulus and how they go about that, and it's not just stimulus, direct stimulus, giving money in furlough. It's how they get the building, the construction industry working. It's how they keep the hospitality industry, all these industries, and they are going to have to support them, because if they want to keep the economy up and the unemployment rate lower, they're going to have to support them. So there's no real way out of that.